Kevin Fleming, MUX, Project 7, Storyboarding app. Start off with the features that a user must be able to do. We're going to swap back and forth between the pages. First off, they have to log on securely. That would be right here. They enter their login information, log in, view multiple accounts and transaction history. Once they log in, they'll view a list of multiple accounts. It'll break up. Each account will be separated. They can select one. Once they select the account, they'll be taken to another page where they see the account details, which will be generally the account number or the name. Their number will be down here. Then they'll have their balance and then their most recent transactions. Transfer money between accounts. Once they're inside the account, they'll have the option to transfer money. And that will take them to here, where they'll have an account they can transfer from and then to. They'll be able to select the date they want to. They'll be able to select whether they want a recurring transfer, or if they just want to do one time. They'll be able to enter the amount they want transferred. From there, they can create a new account to transfer to or from. Once they submit the transfer, here we'll tell them the outcome of the transfer, if the transfer was successful, or if they didn't have enough money for the transfer, or it didn't fit within the limits. That'll all be told in this screen. They'll be able to deposit a check. Once they choose mobile check deposit, they'll be taken to this screen, which will open up the camera. The camera will have an overlying user interface that'll tell them where to align the check up for the routing number for the bank and then the account number for the check. It'll read the amount of the check, and then once that's done, it takes them to the deposit of the outcome. If they have an issue, the check can't be read or anything like that, it'll tell it here. If it's denied, it'll tell it here. If it's accepted, and it'll tell them here and when it'll be added to their account. Locate a branch. Users tend to like to be able to do some things without having to log in. A user's not going to want to log in just to locate a branch, so that's located before they even log in. They can get to it without that. Once they do, they have the option to enter their address or use GPS, and it pulls up with a map view. Target user is really anybody who's on the go who doesn't want to have to go to an ATM or go to a bank in order to access their account, or they don't want to make a phone call to find out their account balance, or if they, like some banks, USAA doesn't have a branch anywhere available, so some users are going to want to be able to deposit their checks and do things on the go without ever having to worry about finding a bank. What can the user do? The user can really do pretty much anything through the banking app. Once they log in, they have access to all their accounts. They can view their statements. They can transfer money. They can deposit a check. Those are the biggest things that users look for when a mobile bank. They can find locations. They can even open an account through the mobile application. Once they create the account, they can choose a checkings or savings. Then they have the outcome of the account. They can view statements. Some even let them, not this particular one, but some will let them even wire money. How do they do it? Well, for the user to be able to transfer funds, they have to go into the specific account that they want to transfer funds from, which will generally auto-populate in their transfers. The reason I'm doing it that way is because If a user just logs in and decides to, before ever selecting an account, and they decide to transfer accounts, they may select the wrong account. And if they have a business account in which um, they don't want to use to transfer money, or they're not allowed for a variety of reasons, you're going to want to go into the account to actually select money. I wanted to do the other options that didn't require logging in without logging in, because it's faster than having to choose to log in for a variety of reasons. Creating a checking account, I've decided to do this way because you need to be able to log in to get your user information so that they can put the account with the correct owner. I've decided that the better way, and what I would prefer to do, is rather than going through and selecting an account during the what type of account, whether a checking or savings account, during the creation, is because, one, this keeps it cleaner. Two, you're limiting the options they have at the time, so that way you're kind of streamlining through the process. You're kind of walking them through slowly. You're not just throwing everything at them. The old adage, less is more. Here, even though it's the same information, it's basically the same page, the user doesn't feel like they're being bombarded. When they select accounts, they have a list. Most users aren't going to have 18 or 20 accounts. They're only going to have 3 or 4 at most. Once the user goes into the account, they can transfer money, they can view their statements, they can actually deposit to that account using mobile check deposit. I did this way because even though the user has several options within the account, they don't feel like they're being bombarded. There's 4 options, and then they've got a scrollable list of transactions. More than likely, what I would do is I would take and turn these into a bar at the bottom, and then I'll just use icons with text according to Apple's HIG guidelines, so that way it fits in with the HIG and what the user expects it to look like. It's more comfortable for the user. They're familiar with it, and they're gonna know what to do right away.